Children of porn stars, what was it like growing up?
There was a guy in another town whose parents had made a porno movie, but the plot twist here is that the mom was pregnant at the time. So you could say he was in a porno too. And to top it up, a somewhat known rapper used the sound of the movie, just the start of it, in one of his songs, which have been played at festivals and in the radio. Must have been hard for him.
Mom wasn't a flat-out porn star, but she danced at one of the older strip clubs in Vegas Glitter Gultch. Most men flirt with her, but because it was only adults seeing her naked, or going into a private room for other services, so it never bled over into teasing by children. I just learned at a young age that you could pay your bills with your body, but if you stay in the industry, the more risk to your person is involved physically, mentally, and emotionally.
One of my best friends in HS had a mom who did porn back in the early 90s. Found out after we graduated, but nobody really cared at that point, because we all knew her. She had driven most of us home blackout drunk from parties one time or another. She was cool, really chill, but apparently quite strict with her own kids. Died a couple of years ago from breast cancer. Really, EDT, bummed me out when I found out. She was a nice lady.
Not me. My friend's mom had been a nude model for motorcycle pinup magazines and nudie spreads in the 70s or 80s before he was born. I knew this guy for probably 3 years from hanging out at mutual friends' homes before finally going to his place. He never mentioned his mom being a nude model before, but when we walked into the house, his parents were sitting in the living room smoking cigarettes under this giant poster-sized photo of her topless and sprawled out on a motorcycle, looking very seductive and horny. He explained it later and said this is why he rarely has friends over.
My dad was in a nude magazine that circulated in the 90s all around Australia called Picture Magazine. He was no porn star by any means. But he did have a nude picture inside of a magazine. People brought the picture to school. I would show it to me, like I haven't seen my dad walk around the house naked. I was less embarrassed when I managed to wrangle this comeback. Why, you got a naked picture of a guy in your backpack, dude?
Someone from my high school. His mom was locally famous for some apparent extreme sex tapes. He was teased non-stop about it once kids found out. He ended up leaving the country the moment he turned 18, which was in the middle of his senior year, after legally changing his name. I wasn't in his class, I was a year under, but from what I remember, he hated his mom, and was extremely aggressive in his last year before running off.
I'm late, but I'll give my personal take as the daughter of a mom who did porn in her early 20s. I didn't even know until I was around 15, so it didn't affect me before that, honestly. My mom moved on to non-porn line of work, so it's not like I grew up near it or really grew up while she was still in the industry, or anything like that. Also, she's not one of the extremely popular ones that a ton of people would know, so she most likely wouldn't get recognized on the street, I don't think, haha. My cousin was actually the one who told me, but didn't show me anything, and I confirmed it with my mom later on. Pretty awkward for me to say the least, haha. Also, I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of it really, and I don't have any traumatic stories that relate to this tbh. Not sure what else I should add, beaming face with smiling eyes.
I'd assume surfing porn would be more like navigating a minefield.
Ask this question in 10 to 15 years, and you'll get way more answers.
Lana Rhoades' kid is gonna find this thread in 12 years with a Google search.
Reminds me that episode from Midnight Diner. Lady does one porn film, cause she had a crush on the actor, but ends up marrying an old man, doesn't tell him about working in porn movie. Years later she meets that actor again, almost cheats, but old man dies, leaving her a storage unit. When she checks the storage unit, it's full of DVDs of that one porn movie she starred in. Edit, Season 1, Episode 8, Sautadium of Midnight Diner, Tokyo Stories on Netflix.
My middle school banned my parents from coming to my graduation/promotion because it was inappropriate to have them there. Edit, LMAO. Yes, this really happened. This was like 2005/2006. Yes, religious, private school. Administration knew who they were because another parent recognized them at drop-off and told the school they didn't feel comfortable having porn stars, that they clearly watch, around their kids. School agreed. Definitely did not make me popular in school. Okay, edit 2 lol. I don't know why it's so crazy to some people that my porn star parents sent me to a private school. They wanted me to have a good education, wasn't about the religion, and it was a good school in our area. I'm sure they didn't think this would happen lol. This is funny and absurd, but this is also part of my trauma from growing up in a porn star home, so please be kind. Sorry to the people who have had similar experiences, thank you for sharing, smiley face.
My sister was in the adult industry, and the last time something like this got asked, my inbox was filled with people telling me to kill myself, so having a relative in the adult industry ripped our family apart. My mom still cries at the lack of relationship she has with her daughter, and we all live so far apart from each other and hardly talk. Kids at my school would try and trick me to watch the movies, print stills, and give them to me. Basic bullying. It wasn't good, and it still all hurts. Edit. Please stop reporting me to Reddit as being a suicide risk. That's really not funny.
It was not that memorable. I didn't know until I was older that she did old school Playboy type stuff. I was shocked when I learned about it, but since I never really knew as a kid, it didn't affect me all that much. Since everyone always asks, no, there weren't abusive boyfriends all the time. She didn't really date, but one BF was nice and fairly normal. They broke up for the usual incompatibility reasons. Not BC she was in porn, she was not a drug addict, she was just struggling as a single mom when my dad died, and had to do what she could. No, I'm not embarrassed. Most everyone I tell thinks it's cool, and then I have to explain childhood was normal, she was a good mom, she wasn't a drug addict, etc. etc.
When I was in high school, there was a guy a couple years younger who lived in my neighborhood. He was really awkward and gullible, and his parents were ridiculously strict. Sort of a real-life Butters. Anyway, one night me and another buddy were over there, and he decided to show us his mom's nudes he'd found on the computer. Pretty weird.
My mom isn't a porn star, but a nude model for painters, photographers. This was her only secure job, but she always worked hard so that we have everything we need. She is an excellent, loving, caring mom. Always made sure that I go to the best school, get the best food, always bought me good clothes, and for a single parent she did a terrific job.
My older half-brother's dad was a porn star. He loved to open the door naked. He did it at my wedding, in fact. That's about it. He was actually an incredibly amazing man. Good to the bone. Great husband. Good dad. Volunteered. Recycled. A bit quirky but good. I forgot and didn't even realize this post kinda applied to me until I got a ways down in the comments.
I didn't have a parent who did porn, but I had a roommate who made and distributed CP in college. I found this out when I was pulled out of a lecture by a FBI guy who confiscated my phone and laptop before being interrogated for 3 hours.
Not mother, but cousin who used to babysit me. She became a model and did some nude work she was proud of. Didn't bother me or really impact me at all, really. Since we grew up together, I never viewed her as having anything sexual about her. She was just the older kid I'd play and horse around with when we were young. I was glad she was pursuing her passion/career. Really disturbed my friends and girlfriend though, because they thought she looked like a female version of me to an unsettling extent. Couldn't get the image out of their heads.
I went to 3 high schools in 3 states. The I know your mom from somewhere got really old really fast. Caused plenty of fights. The can I have he porn star name still hasn't ended, and she stopped in 2000. So many drugs, so much alcohol. I didn't have a mom. I had a foo ***** D up monster. It was horrid.
So I went to high school with a kid whose parents were both movie/TV stars. Both his mom and dad have been nude on film before. Full frontals, too, lol. Needless to say, there was some teasing that happened at school. It was kinda awkward making conversation with his parents, knowing that I've seen both of their crotches. Well, technically, I've seen their son's crotch too, since we played on the same football team. Funnily enough, the only crotch in that family that I didn't see was his sister's, which was the only crotch that I actually wanted to see in the first place.
I had a buddy who had naked pics of his mom in his dresser. We stopped hanging out with him after that. Fun fact, there were probably 100 post-it notes around his house from his mom with stupid reminders like turn off the light or close the door. Crazy stuff. Wonder how many people that guy has killed.
I'm sorry for the pain I caused you.
This will get buried, but I taught a kid who was the son of an adult film actress. The kid didn't want to talk about it. I think his best friend was the only person who knew. The mom was amazing, absolutely the parent you wanted to deal with as a teacher. She clearly prioritized her kids' educations, was heavily involved in school fundraisers, would bring teachers gifts at parent-teacher conferences. She was always dressed very wholesomely when she came into the school, her style was very Jackie O, and I doubt the other parents knew her career alter ego. The one time the boy and his friend talked about it in front of me, he said he'd only watch porn featuring actresses who didn't belong to his ethnic group so he wouldn't accidentally stumble upon his mother. Edit since a PM asked, the kid was in high school.
Our 6th grade English teacher was in Playboy, one of those girls of the SEC issues. We thought it was a rumor, but looked it up with help from Dad's legit cataloged collection. It was true 10 years later, still smokin'.
My mother was in Playboy. Honestly, it never bothered me. My buddies all found out around middle school and definitely made jokes, but I always took it in stride. My mom was in Playboy and my dad was good looking enough to wrangle a Playboy model. Guess I've got good genes. Person shrugging, medium skin tone.
Buddy of mine had an employee bring up, in the last 3 weeks, that he found his stepmom in some porn on Pornhub. She has multiple videos. With a guy who is not his dad. All from within the last 2 to 3 years. So this kid is in a conundrum for all kinds of reasons. Can't wait to see how it plays out.